So I don't know if you saw Lawrence O'Donnell this week. Was fake tough guy Lawrence O'Donnell? That's right. I forgot I call him that. That's right. He is a fake tough guy. And do you remember when he challenged Mitt Romney's kid to a fight on air? Do you remember that?
Yes, I was just thinking about that.
Come on, Tag. Come here, Tag. What the fuck are you doing? Anyway, so he had a big scoop this week. Again, Russiagate is over, but nobody told Lawrence O'Donnell, right? So they had this story about Trump getting co-signers on his loans from Deutsche Bank. By the way, Deutsche Bank has come up before, and CNN reported a false story about Trump and Deutsche Bank. They had to retract. We're going to talk about that later. But right now, here he is, and he has Rachel on, the #1 Russiagator. And let me tell you something. Hey, you guys, come on. She can't be a beard for an evil corporation. And so Rachel Maddow knows that Russiagate is over, right? She's already made the money. She's already lost her viewers. It's already over. And now here comes Lawrence O'Donnell, and watch what she does to her.
This single source close to Deutsche Bank has told me that Donald Trump's loan...
Hey, Rachel, by the way, some random guy told me something. Don't worry, you're going to love it. It involves Russia. And so she's look how long my eyelashes are. Look how long they are. That's it. Come on, she could cool the Mojave with those. Okay, here we go.
Documents there show that he has co-signers. That's how he was able to obtain those loans. And that the co-signers are Russian oligarchs.
Even Rachel's like, what?
And that the co-signers are Russian oligarchs.
What? Really?
Rachel's like, hey, Lawrence, I don't know if you know, but I already made offered all the cash there is to get in Russiagate. It's all gone. All the money's gone. Now it's like she robbed the bank and Lawrence O'Donnell's jumping in the getaway car and it's out of gas. And by the way, Rachel knows this, right? So she totally knows this. So and she knew that Lawrence O'Donnell was going to say this because he tweeted about it earlier in the day, and this is his big story, so she knows this is coming. And so what she's doing is, this is my perfect chance to fucking stick Russiagate on Lawrence O'Donnell and get it off me. So she's gonna act like, what? That's fucking crazy. Why would she say that? Watch how why is she reacting that way? What? Why would she? You've been doing this shit for 3 fucking years. Ha? What? Trump's with Russian oligarchs. Ah! She is totally throwing him under the bus right here. Is she not?
Don't let this story go, Lawrence. You hold on to this one. You keep telling this story, Lawrence.
Jimmy, can we watch it again? Because my favorite part of this clip is watching them have a blink off.
Oh, what? So when you lie, you blink more. And why? You'll see which one is blinking more.
This single source close to Deutsche Bank has told me that Donald Trump's loan documents there show that he has co-signers. That's how he was able to obtain those loans.
They're having a fucking blink off, ladies and gentlemen. We're still doing this shit? Are we still doing this shit? Okay. Well, let's watch it again.
This single source close to Deutsche Bank has told me that Donald Trump's loan documents there show that he has co-signers. That's how he was able to obtain those loans. And that the co-signers are Russian oligarchs. What?
It's like animatronic propaganda. Like it seems like robotic. It's just like, there were co-signers, random source, to not be named, Russian oligarchs. Some would say.
I think it may be Morse code. I think he's saying we're all full of shit in Morse code, and he just wants out.
What?
So here it comes.
Really?
That would explain, it seems.
You know, when Rachel Maddow is going, really? This sounds like bullshit. Maybe it's bullshit. It's like Chris Christie going, you know, I think that's fattening. I'd fucking lay off the cannoli, you know what I mean?
To me, every kind word Donald Trump has ever said about Russia and Vladimir Putin, if true.
If true. That's true. But by the way, for this nutty claim to be true, Deutsche Bank would have allowed Trump to borrow billions of dollars over 20 years with the understanding that in the event Trump defaulted, the funds would be repaid in full by shady Russian oligarchs who are beyond the reach of Deutsche Bank. That's like, oh, is that really what happened? Oh yeah, Deutsche Bank, they let the mafia co-sign for Trump. Like, the mafia people we can never get the money back from? And Lawrence O'Donnell's like, that's a story, let's run, let's do it, we'll be number one like Rachel. Blink, 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 blink. So then, of course, he had to apologize. He had to apologize to Donald Trump. Can you fucking imagine? It's like you have to apologize. You know what? I'm sorry. My to-do list today. I have to brush teeth, get car fixed, apologize to Manson. What the fuck? Tell Pol Pot I was wrong. Give Nixon props. Tell Dick Cheney good guy. Sorry. Here it comes, watch, here it comes.
I should not have said it on air or posted it on Twitter. I was wrong to do so. This afternoon, attorneys for the president sent us a letter asserting the story is false. They also demanded a retraction. Tonight, we are retracting the story.
That's right. So the Washington Post ripped his ass for this, right? So Eric Wemple in the Washington Post says, if true, because he goes, if true, well, if true, fucking Bigfoot lives. If true. If true, that's a big deal. There's a fucking man and an ape and he's living in the woods. If true, that's a fucking scoop. So this guy says, if true, MSNBC's Lawrence O'Donnell substitutes wishful thinking for journalism, which that's what they've been doing for the last 3 fucking years. Why is it all of a sudden a story now? They've been doing this for 3 years. Again, it's like we caught Chris Christie with a double cheeseburger. It's like, yeah, I get it. What? I don't. So, and then he even says, if you could see that, he says, there's a 2-word phrase that will stick with MSNBC host Lawrence O'Donnell for some time, if not his entire career, and it's if true. And I'm like, why now do people all of a sudden going to call people out for bogus conspiracy theories about Russia? Why now? I mean, they've been, again, so here, let's watch. Here we go.
Saying, if true, as I discussed the information, was simply not good enough. I did not go through the rigorous verification and standards process here at MSNBC before.
Hey, by the way, my sources tell me that Lawrence O'Donnell is made of wax. And if true, that would explain why every night he is seen melting. Okay.
Or repeating what I heard from my source.
Yeah, so he said they're vigorous fact-checking, right? See, because last night I made an error in judgment by reporting an item about the president's finances that didn't go through our rigorous verification and standards process. All he had to do was type something into Google. You didn't even do that? Your vigorous fucking... So what is their vigorous fact-checking process? Well, Aaron Matei is here to tell us what it is.
When it comes to the Trump-Russia story, the idea of a rigorous verification and standards process at MSNBC is a joke.
That's right. It's a goddamn joke. Why? What have they been doing for the last 3 years?
The bulk of this network's output for more than 2 years has been innuendo and conspiracy theories about a non-existent Trump-Russia plot and a massive Russian interference campaign.
Oh, there you go. That's what they've been doing for the last 2+ years. But all of a sudden, Lawrence O'Donnell did it, and everybody's freaking out about it. In fact, Washington Post, they asked, what precisely is the rigorous verification and standards process to which O'Donnell usually stories are submitted? We asked the embassy about this gauntlet and got this back. We're declining to comment. They're not commenting. This is from the Washington Post. The catastrophe appears to flow from one man's conclusion that having Russian oligarchs on Trump's loan documents is a story that's too good to check. But what about the last 3 fucking years? None of those stories were checked. They all turned out to be bullshit. Why now? I really don't, and this is a true question. I don't understand why all of a sudden Lawrence O'Donnell made up a crazy conspiracy theory about Donald Trump, and all of a sudden now it's bad. I think it's bad now because Rachel's already lost 600,000 viewers after the Mueller report came out, and they know it doesn't make them any money. Hey, dummy, this doesn't make us any money anymore. I love what Razor says, judgment impaired by seething hatred. I posted recklessly irresponsible gossip, and I'm super sorry for all the sweet rounds of ratings and clicks. Guy whose pinned tweet is about someone else's lying. This is what his pinned tweet is. Here's Lawrence O'Donnell's pinned tweet. Trump, when I can, I tell the truth. That's a lie. Last word at 10 p.m. I guess the last word is, I'm sorry, I was lying. So that's his pinned tweet, ladies and gentlemen. And I love what this guy says. Here he says, hey, Lawrence, an unverified source told me that Trump is actually a robot sent back in time from the future by Putin to infiltrate the White House. I have no evidence to back this up, but please report it as factual news on your show.
If true, that's huge.
If true, that changes everything and explains a lot. I said, when does MAC apologize for and retract their last 3 years of their entire network, right? When does that happen? Because we all know they ran these kind of stories.
And it is like negative 50 degrees in the Dakotas right now. What would happen if Russia killed the power in Fargo today? Right? What would happen if all the natural gas lines that service Sioux Falls just poofed on the coldest day in recent memory, and it wasn't in our power whether or not to turn them back on? I mean, what would you do if you lost heat indefinitely as the act of a foreign power on the same day the temperature in your front yard matched the temperature in Antarctica?
I don't know. I guess I'd go chop down some trees and burn them as wood, but I bet Putin already fucking got those trees. You know, Rachel, they have nuclear weapons. They could just fucking fire them at us, you stupid motherfucker. Which is the equivalent of what she's saying. So where was your rigorous standards then? There's never been any rigorous standards. In fact, Aaron Matei points out how little rigorous standards they are, and that term, if true, they've used before. Watch this.
Donald himself speculated that Vladimir Putin orchestrated a chemical weapons attack in Syria to distract the U.S. media from Putin's ties to Donald Trump.
If Vladimir Putin, if Vladimir Putin.
Holy shit! So why are they acting like this is the first time he's done? If he's fucking doing it. But all of a sudden now the Washington Post is like, you can't do if true. He's been doing it all the time. Why now? Again, why now? Here we go, let's watch.
Speculated that Vladimir Putin orchestrated a chemical weapons attack in Syria to distract the U.S. media from Putin's ties to Donald Trump.
If Vladimir Putin, if Vladimir Putin masterminded the last week in Syria, he has gotten everything he could have asked for. Go ahead, do a small chemical attack, nothing like the big ones you've done in the past, just big enough to attract media attention so that my friend in the White House will see it on TV. And then Donald Trump can fire some missiles at Syria that'll do no real damage, and then the American news media will change the subject from Russian influence in the Trump campaign and the Trump transition and the Trump White House. It's perfect.
So that's what's called a conspiracy theory and a conspiracy theorist nut job, because even evidence of disproving your conspiracy theory that Trump and Putin are in bed together, even evidence that disproves that, meaning Trump bombed Syria, the client state of Russia, even that evidence proves to Lawrence O'Donnell that the conspiracy is true. Oh, sure, he bombed Syria, but they were Nerf bombs. He didn't really bomb that. He bombed them, but that proves my theory. That's exactly what a conspiracy theorist does, ladies and gentlemen. And that's exactly what they've been doing at MSNBC and CNN and the Washington Post and the New York Times and fucking 3/4 of YouTube, and nobody's ever had a fucking problem with it. Why is it that everybody has a fucking problem with it now? I still can't figure it out. But they've done even more shit before. So watch this. Aaron Matei has more. Watch this.
By the way, that was in April 2017, more than 2 years ago. Fast forward to, say, July 2018, when MSNBC's Chris Hayes brought on writer Jonathan Chait to ponder if Donald Trump has been a Russian military intelligence asset since 1987.
Since 1987.
In a new cover story from New York Magazine, writer Jonathan Chait argues, "We have not allowed ourselves to consider the full range of possibilities." Chait lays out what could be considered the worst-case scenario for Trump-Russia collusion, that Donald Trump has been a Russian intelligence asset since 1987.
So there's some Russian, there's a gun. Oh, you know, in 20 years, Putin will be president, and we should start grooming Donald Trump because I bet he could win. I bet he'll beat Hillary Clinton, the wife of the guy who's not president yet, and no one ever heard of. I mean, this is going to work out perfectly. And Lawrence O'Donnell has cracked that fucking story for us, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, Chris Hayes and this other bullshitter, Jonathan Chait from the New York Times. This is what passes for news on their network for the last 2.5 years or 3 years.
Putin planted the story. Now he's gotten into Lawrence O'Donnell's show. He planted the story in Lawrence O'Donnell's show. And, you know, he's pulling all the strings.
So Lawrence O'Donnell, ironically, working for the Russians. Putin planted that story to discredit the Western media, and Lawrence O'Donnell then repeated it, being a total, useful idiot. And so now Lawrence O'Donnell is working for the Russians. I fucking knew it. Lawrence O'Donnell is a Russian asset. I fucking knew it, and somebody should throw him in jail. I think we should round up Lawrence O'Donnell, put him under some questioning, maybe lock him up for a little while. Maybe he should go in the cell next to Chelsea Manning for a little while. Yeah, that's what we should do with a guy like Lawrence O'Donnell. There's actually more to this. Watch this.
Then there's Rachel Maddow. I don't know, take your pick. How about Putin might use the P-tape to force Trump into withdrawing U.S. troops near Russia?
And here's the question. Is the new president going to take those troops out? After all the speculation, after all the worry, we are actually about to find out if Russia maybe has something on the new president. We're about to find out if the new president of our country is going to do what Russia wants once he's commander-in-chief of the U.S. military starting noon on Friday.
So that's okay. Nobody has a problem with that. By the way, he didn't withdraw those troops. He didn't do it. So all that complete fucking bullshit. 100% made up conspiracy theory bullshit, and it was pushed by Rachel Maddow, and now she's like, what? You think Russia and fucking Trump are together? What? You're crazy. I love what this guy says. He says, meanwhile, Trump is doing more escalation with Russia, and yet tough guy Lawrence won't report on that because it hurts his narrative. That's exactly what's happening. Trump pulled out of the goddamn nuclear treaty. Trump is ramping up on their border. NATO's ramping up. He's fucked them over with sanctions. He's bombed their client states. He also is opposed to overthrowing their client state in Venezuela. He's opposed fucking Putin, but that's what a true conspiracy theorist does, is they ignore all the evidence that debunks their conspiracy theory, and they just keep pushing it anyway. And that's what the mainstream media is, conspiracy theorists, and that's why they try to shit on us, because we tell the truth about this stuff. Hey, our next live Jimmy Dore show is in Seattle, September 16th. That's a Monday. Plus, every Sunday in October, we're doing a live Jimmy Dore show at the Sycamore Tavern in Hollywood, California. Go to jimmydorcomedy.com for a link for all tickets and become a premium member. We give you hours of bonus material. Thanks for your support.